The full MKM set is out, and also the Clue tie-in. And after looking through these, I've put together my top 5 favorite commanders from the set that you should try out. Before I get into that list though, if you like my videos, consider subscribing. Thanks. First, I'm going to do a quick honorable mention. Marvo Deep Operative. 3 blue-black for a 1/8 Octopus Rogue. Whenever he attacks, you clash with defending player. If you win a clash, you draw a card. Then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value 8 or less without paying its mana cost. And this is a very fun, flavorful card. Clash Tribal is really interesting. It's an octopus spy, and its set number is 0007. It's very cute, and it almost made the list, except I realized it's kind of just worse Hidetsugu and Kahiri, which is a pretty underrated commander in my opinion. Using clone effects, Hidetsugu and Kahiri can let you brainstorm and then cast instants and sorceries off the top. The octopus can count creatures, which is kind of neat. If you do want to go with the octopus, you're going to want to get in a lot of attacks because there's not that many clash cards and most of them are pretty bad. So something like Aqueous Form to give your commander unblockable and give you some extra scry is pretty useful. Also Lantern of Insight, this way you can see who you can clash with and win. It's a fun card. Alright, on to the actual top 5. Starting with Kylok's Visionary Inventor. 5 blue-red for a 4/4 Vinishinu Artificer with Menace, Ward 2, and Haste. Whenever he attacks, sacrifice any number of other creatures, then exile the top X cards of your library where X is the total power, and you may cast any number of instants or sorceries from among the exiled cards without paying their mana cost. This commander is super interesting for deck building because you need a balance of creatures and big spells. So you can play cards like Metallurgic Summonings or Shark Typhoon, which make tokens when you cast spells. You get a couple of tokens, swing with your commander, and then boom, you're flipping the top 10. Alternatively, you can play a small amount of creatures that have a high power for their cost. Something like Malignus can easily get you like 20 cards deep. Or Crackling Drake, once you play a bunch of spells, very often has 8 or more power. Or even the new Melik, which gets pretty big. And then what do you cast after sacrificing creatures? I don't know, who cares? This is where you get to have the most fun in the deck. Extra turns, clone effects, whatever you want. Just be sure not to run too many counter spells since they're essentially useless when you flip off of your commander, unless they have multiple modes like Mystic Confluence or Cryptic Command. Number 4 on my list is the Pride of Hullclade. 10 in a green for 2/15 Crocodile Elk Turtle. Costs X less to cast where X is the total toughness of creatures you control. Has Defender, and you can pay 2 blue until end of turn. Target creature you control gets +1/+0, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its toughness, and it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So this commander can buff itself and hit your opponent and draw you 15 cards, which is awesome. So unblockable effects is a must here. Drawing 15 is just so sweet. The only awkward thing is that this commander doesn't let you deal damage equal to your toughness. So yeah, it gives +1/+0, but if you actually attack with some high toughness wall, you're only dealing 1 damage. So you're gonna probably want some cards like Psychosis Crawler, or just other creatures with big stats compared to their cost, like Eryximethus Slumbering Isle. Just be sure to have a plan to deal damage with this deck, but it seems like so much fun. I really want to draw 15 cards off of 1 attack. That's just so cool. Massacre Girl Known Killer is number 3 on my list, and she's really powerful. 2 black for a legendary creature human assassin 4/4 with menace, and creatures you control have wither. Plus, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. So you get to play all of the -1/-1 counter synergy cards like Necro Skitter and Nest of Scarabs in this deck. You also get extra draw off of any removal that is -X/-X, so Dismember and Grasp of Darkness. And since she gives your creatures wither, normal combat damage will let you draw cards. This commander seems really powerful, and you can play it as mono black control, -1/-1 counters, or just generic good stuff. This girl is going to draw you a ton of cards. Also, the flavor text is just great. I feel like it's no surprise to anyone that Anzrag the Quake Mole is high up on my list. 2 red-green for an 8/4 Mole God. Whenever Ansrag becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase. You can pay 3 red, green, green, and he has to be blocked each combat if able. This commander is so sweet. With lure effects, you can force players to block you to give extra combat phases. And if you combo that with indestructible on your commander, then you're probably going to knock multiple players out of the table. If they have something that doesn't die to your commander and they have to block it, you just get infinite combat steps against them. You can fill up your deck with attack triggers like Savage Ventmaw or Elder Gargaroth, and with extra combat steps, you'll get so much value from those. Also, Zilroth Strength Incarnate is really good with a commander that has a lot of power. One issue I see with this commander is that everyone is going to be scared of it. And if they're not, they will be after they see what it does. If you have stuff on board, then this commander is going to be a top priority for your opponents, which means you really want to pack protection, uncounterable effects to force past blue decks, and I would throw in a few other extra combat effects in case your commander dies a bunch. You can still get a ton of value out of your attack triggers. Alright, drum roll please. Number 1 on my list, my favorite commander from this new set, Judith Carnage Connoisseur. 3 black-red for a 3/4 human shaman. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, choose one. This spell gains Death Touch and Lifelink, or create a 2/2 red imp creature with whenever this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. This commander lets you turn End the Festivities or Electrickery into one-sided board wipes. And don't forget, she gives Death Touch and Lifelink to your spells, meaning you're going to be gaining life as well. You can play stuff like Chain of Smog and just target yourself repeatedly to summon an infinite number of imps, add a sacrifice outlet or impact tremors to that, and you can win the game right there. This commander is a ton of fun. You can play Control, you can play Storm, you can play Spellslinger. There are so many options. I think Rakdos Spellslinger is a really cool archetype, and the best commander we had for it before was probably Tor Wayuki the Younger, and I think this commander, for the most part, is just better. So those are my top 5 favorite commanders from this set, but there are a ton of other cool ones. Like Mastermind Plum almost made the list. I mean, casting Dark Ritual with a treasure to go up on mana and draw a card seems really strong. He's really just held back by being monocolored. So let me know any other commanders that you think I missed. What are some other fun ones you're going to build? And hopefully I've convinced you to try one of these out. Thank you so very much for watching. Subscribe for more.